People leave traces before they disappear. They always do. A last text message. A final search query. A voicemail that nobody listened to until it was too late. A door left unlocked. A car left running. A coffee still warm on the kitchen counter. When someone who loved them came looking. Most of the time those traces are random. The ordinary residue of an ordinary day. Interrupted without warning. But sometimes the traces tell a story. Sometimes, when you lay them end to end, when you read them in the order they were left, a picture forms. And the picture is of someone who knew. Someone who saw it coming. Who reached for help in the only ways they had. Who left behind exactly enough for the people who loved them to understand what happened. Too late to stop it. But not too late to know. These are 3 of those stories. I have told them as carefully as I can. I have changed names and details to protect the families involved. The traces are real. Every one of them. Exactly as they were left. Story number 1. Rachel's searches. Her name is Rachel. She was 26 years old. She worked as a graphic designer. She lived alone in a 1-bedroom flat. In a medium-sized city in the Midlands. She had 2 close friends, a sister she spoke to every Sunday, and a cat named Fletcher. Rachel disappeared on a Thursday in February. She was found 6 days later. She was alive. I want to tell you that now. Because this story is frightening enough. Without that uncertainty running through it. Rachel was found. Rachel recovered. Rachel is the one who gave permission for this account to be told. This is what the traces showed. On the Monday before she disappeared, Rachel searched online for the following. How to tell if someone is following you home. She did not tell anyone about this search. She told her sister, much later, that she had dismissed it herself. She had been walking home from the station and felt watched. She had looked it up. She had read the results. She had decided she was being anxious and moved on. On the Tuesday, she sent a text message to her closest friend. The message read, "Has anything weird ever happened to you? Where you feel like someone is paying attention to you? In a way that feels wrong?" Her friend replied, "What do you mean?" Rachel replied, "Never mind, probably nothing." Nothing. On the Wednesday, she searched online for how to report feeling unsafe to police without sounding paranoid. She did not report anything. On the Wednesday evening, she called her sister. The call lasted 4 minutes. Her sister has described it as a normal call. "How are you?" "Fine." "How is Fletcher?" "Good." They talked about their mother's upcoming birthday. They made tentative plans. Her sister said she sounded fine. Normal. Unremarkable. On the Thursday morning, Rachel sent one more message. Not to her friend. Not to her sister. To a number listed in her phone as building manager. The message read, "I think someone may have been in my flat. I cannot explain why I think this. Nothing is missing. But something feels different. Is there any way to check if anyone has used a key to access the building this week?" The building manager did not see the message until Friday. Rachel did not come home on Thursday evening. She was found on the following Wednesday, in a neighboring city, in circumstances I will not detail here, out of respect for her and her family. When police reviewed her devices, they found the search history, the texts, the final message. They found the things she had been trying to name for 4 days, without ever quite getting there. She had known something was wrong. She had reached for help 4 separate times. In each instance, she had stopped herself, told herself she was being paranoid. moved on. Rachel's advice, when she later agreed to speak about what happened. If you feel unsafe, say so. Say it to someone who can help. Say it clearly. Do not soften it. Do not add probably nothing. Do not send it to the building manager. Call someone. Say, I feel unsafe. And let them respond to what you actually said. Story number 2. Daniel's browser history. His name is Daniel. He was 31. He worked in IT support for a local authority. He lived with his partner of 4 years. He was, by all accounts of everyone who knew him, a careful and methodical person. Someone who thought things through. Someone who did not panic. Daniel went missing on a Saturday in October. He was found 9 days later. He was alive. He has recovered. What I am about to tell you is the account of what his partner found in the days between. On the Friday evening, the night before he disappeared, Daniel and his partner had a normal evening at home. Dinner, television, an early night. His partner has described it as entirely unremarkable. No tension. No argument. No indication that anything was wrong. In the morning his partner woke to find him gone. This was not immediately alarming. Daniel sometimes went for early morning runs. He sometimes went to the supermarket before it got busy. His partner made coffee and waited. By 10 o'clock he had not returned. By 11 his phone was going to voicemail. By noon his partner had begun to feel something they could not name. They checked Daniel's laptop. They were looking for anything. A message. A plan. An explanation. What they found was the browser history. Daniel had been awake in the night. Between 2 and 4 in the morning. While his partner slept. He had been searching. The search is in order. 2:04 a.m. signs someone is planning to harm you. 2:11 a.m. how to document threats without escalating. 2:19 a.m. what to do if someone knows where you live. 2:31 a.m. restraining order process UK. 2:44 a.m. how to disappear safely. 2:58 a.m. safe houses near city name. 3:17 a.m. if I go somewhere to be safe, do I have to tell police? 3:34 a.m. can someone track you through your phone? 3:51 a.m. how to turn off phone location without alerting someone. At 3:58 a.m. he had cleared his search history. But he had not cleared it perfectly. Browser autocomplete retained fragments. His partner, methodical themselves in their own right, reconstructed the sequence from what remained. Daniel had been afraid. For how long, they did not know. Long enough to research it at 3 in the morning. While the person he shared his life with slept in the next room. Long enough to decide that leaving was the safest option available to him. Long enough to execute that decision. Before sunrise. He had not told his partner. He had not told anyone. He had decided, alone and in the small hours, that the safest thing he could do was disappear. He was right. The circumstances that led him to that decision were real and serious. He is safe now. His partner told me later that the hardest part of those 9 days was not the not knowing where he was. It was looking at that search history and understanding that he had been sitting 2 feet away in the dark, carrying something alone that he had decided he could not share. Not because he did not trust his partner. Because he did not want to bring it to them. Because he wanted to keep them safe. By keeping them outside of it. His partner said, I would have gone with him. I would have gone anywhere. I just needed him to ask. Story number 3. Maya's message, the most important story in 12 videos. I am going to tell you this story last. Because it is the one that I find most difficult. Not because of what happened. She is safe. This story also ends with someone alive. Because of the timing. Because of how close it was. And because of what she did. In the moments before the closest point. Her name, for this account, is Maya. She was 19. She was in her first year at university. She lived in student accommodation. She was, by her own description, someone who had always been cautious. Someone who had been taught to be aware. Someone who had absorbed every piece of advice about personal safety that every woman she knew had quietly passed on over the course of her life. She knew the advice. She followed it. On a November evening, Maya attended a lecture that ran later than expected. She left the building at 9:15. The walk back to her accommodation was 12 minutes. She had done it many times. At 9:17 she sent a message to her flatmate. It said, heading back now? Should be home by 9:30. This is standard practice. Every woman reading this knows it is standard practice. You tell someone where you are and when to expect you. You make yourself accountable to someone so that if something goes wrong, the gap between wrong and known is as small as possible. Maya knew this. She did exactly this. At 9:19 she noticed she was being followed. I am using the word she used. She did not say she thought she was being followed. She did not say she felt uneasy. She said, I noticed I was being followed. Past tense. Certain. Observed. At 9:19 and 40 seconds. She sent a second message to her flatmate. It said, someone is following me? I am at the corner of street name and street name. I am going to keep walking toward the main road. Call me in 2 minutes. This is where I want you to stop and hold what she did. She was 19 years old. She was being followed on a dark street. And in the space of 40 seconds, she sent a message that contained a clear statement of what was happening, her exact location, her plan, a specific instruction to her flatmate. She did not say I think. She did not say probably nothing. She did not soften it for the person reading it. She stated it plainly and gave the information needed to respond. Her flatmate called her at 9:21. Maya answered. She kept her flatmate on the line and walked to the main road, where there were people and light. She went into a shop. She stayed there. The person who had been following her did not follow her into the shop. Police were called. The area was checked. Nothing was found. Maya was escorted back to her accommodation by a member of the university security staff. She was home before 10 o'clock. Her flatmate told me later that the message had taken her a moment to process. Not because it was unclear. Because it was so clear. Because it was so precisely what she needed to know. That for a second she could not believe. Someone had actually sent it. We are so trained to soften. To add probably nothing. To say I might be imagining it. To make our fear small. So as not to inconvenience the person we are telling. Maya did not do that. And I believe, with complete certainty, that her refusal to soften it is the reason this story ends the way it ends. Safe. With her home before 10 o'clock. And her flatmate on the other end of the phone. And the light of a shop around her. While something that meant her harm stayed outside in the dark. And waited. And eventually went away. 3 people. 3 Thursdays and Saturdays and November evenings. 3 different ways of reaching for help. When something was wrong, Rachel softened it. Added probably nothing. Moved on. Daniel carried it alone to protect the person he loved most. Maya stated it plainly, gave her location, and gave instructions. All 3 of them survived. But only one of them had a message that could have stopped it. Before it reached the worst point. I am not telling you this to frighten you. I am telling you this because the traces matter. What you search for in the middle of the night matters. What you almost say to your closest friend matters. The message you send before you keep walking matters. If something feels wrong, say so. Say it plainly. Say it to someone who can help. Give them your location. Give them your plan. Do not add probably nothing. You are not being paranoid. You are not being dramatic. You are leaving a trace. And traces are what bring people home. Thank you for listening. Email is in the description. If you have a story, I want to hear it. New stories every Friday. Subscribe. And if you feel unsafe tonight, tell someone. Now. Plainly. Without softening it. 3 people. 3 Thursdays and Saturdays and November evenings. 3 different ways of reaching for help. When something was wrong, Rachel softened it. Added probably nothing. Moved on. Daniel carried it alone to protect the person he loved most. Maya stated it plainly, gave her location, and gave instructions. All 3 of them survived. But only one of them had a message that could have stopped it. Before it reached the worst point. I am not telling you this to frighten you. I am telling you this because the traces matter. What you search for in the middle of the night matters. What you almost say to your closest friend matters. The message you send before you keep walking matters. If something feels wrong, say so. Say it plainly. Say it to someone who can help. Give them your location. Give them your plan. Do not add probably nothing. You are not being paranoid. You are not being dramatic. You are leaving a trace. And traces are what bring people home. Thank you for listening. Email is in the description. If you have a story, I want to hear it. For new stories, subscribe my channel. And if you feel unsafe tonight, tell someone. Now. Plainly. Without softening it.